Everyone wants their brand to become a cult classic. Agencies spend fortunes trying to engineer that mysterious mix of exclusivity and desirability. They flood social media with limited drops, inflate prices to signal luxury, and put their logos on everything from skateboards to actual bricks. The result? Usually nothing more than manufactured scarcity that fools no one who really knows fashion. But here's the truth. Cult status doesn't come from manufactured hype. It comes from building product and storytelling that actually reflects who you are. If the quality is mid and the brand voice keeps shifting, people see through it. You want long-term loyalty? Make sure your product is solid enough to speak without needing a campaign behind them, like this guy. Before we dive deeper into Neighborhood's story, I want to shout out the sponsor for today's video, Renee Bassett. If you're building a brand and you want tees to feel premium from the jump, this is worth checking out. The best part, no order minimums. So whether you're doing a 20-piece drop or still figuring it out, you don't have to cut corners to get that premium feel. These aren't fast fashion tees. These are for people who care about fit, fabric, and how the product holds up inside the real world. If you want to build your brand the right way with quality that speaks for itself, I'm trying to hook y'all up. Check the link in the description and see what Renee Bassett is all about. Trust me, you will not regret it. In a quiet corner of Tokyo's Harajuku district, a motorcycle lover named Shinsuke Takizawa built something truly different. It didn't just change fashion, it rewrote the entire playbook. For 30 years, Neighborhood achieved what countless brands dreamed of, going from a tiny store in Japan's backstreet to a powerhouse without compromising a single ounce of their identity. Never caving into seasonal trends, they resisted every temptation to scale up cheaper and faster. They simply made incredible clothes that people genuinely wanted to wear until they felt apart, and then bought another pair because they couldn't find anything else that felt as right. How did they pull this off? Shinsuke wasn't exactly a model student. Born in Nagano, he spent his childhood surrounded by mountains that towered most buildings. His early life revolved around the outdoors, camping trips, mountain hikes. You wouldn't pick him as a future revolutionary who transformed streetwear, but when someone that is connected to raw, honest experiences enters fashion, something interesting happens. His formal education in fashion lasted all of 1 year. At 19, he enrolled in fashion school. By the end of the first year, they showed him the door for not attending enough classes. Teachers tried teaching him formulas for trend forecasting and rules for seasonal collections, but he ain't listen. Instead, he wanted to understand why a vintage leather jacket felt like an old friend, why military gear had more character than runaway pieces. The classroom suffocated him, so he did what any creative mind would. He packed a bag and took off for Europe. Paris first, and then London. Trip weren't for tourists, selfies, or cafe visits. He immersed himself completely in London. He caught the dying breeds of punk golden age. Vivienne Westwood's influence still hung thick in the air. The city was shifting from safety pins to synthesizers, and Takizawa absorbed everything. The do-it-yourself spirit, the complete disregard for fashion seasons, the ideal that clothes could be personal armor. That's the part most brands miss. They get inspired, but they don't absorb anything. You can't just reference punk or do-it-yourself. You gotta actually live it and translate it into how you design, how you drop, and how you move. If your influences are surface level, your audience will be too. The deeper it is for you, the deeper it'll hit for them. But something else pulled at his attention during these travels. Military supply stores became his temples. He spent hours studying how flight jackets from the 1940s had developed their aura, the way genuine wear told stories through fabric. Real utility. These pieces were engineered for survival. A formula for it could be function, creating beauty without even trying. That realization would shape everything he built later on. Tokyo welcomed him back as a changed person. The city itself was changing too. Harajuku, especially the backstreets locals called Ura Harajuku, was transforming from sleepy residential areas to Japan's creative ground zero. Young designers, musicians, and artists were shaping these cheaper neighborhoods, and one of them was about to become Takizawa's most influential mentor, Hiroshi Fujiwara. They call him the godfather of streetwear now, but back then, he was just a DJ with wild ideals. Real quick, if you're a brand owner with a solid product, but your engagement's been quiet between drops, during drops, or even after, we've been building something behind the scenes that's made to help. I'm opening a private engagement service for brands that want real momentum. More eyes on your page, more comments from people who actually care. No shortcuts, just real traffic built the right way with the right people finding you for the right reasons. We're only accepting 4 brands per quarter, so if you're serious about keeping your brand in motion throughout the year, tap the link in the description and apply now. The man was initiating hip-hop culture in Japan while running Major Force Records. When he met Takizawa, something clicked. It was this fashion school dropout with obsessive attention to detail and a DJ who needed someone to handle visuals for his label. Major Force Records wasn't just releasing music. Fujiwara was building something bigger, a cultural movement where fashion, music, and design merged into one living, breathing entity. He asked Takizawa to handle the graphic design side. Suddenly, the fashion dropout was creating merchandise for underground bands, designing record sleeves, crafting logos that would be copied decades later. The real education began there. Takizawa spent nearly a decade learning what fashion schools couldn't teach. Typography from laying out album covers, color theory in action, fabric manipulation from turning band merch into collectible objects, and real time from understanding how different lighting affect graphics. Most importantly, he discovered the distinction between decoration and design. Decoration fills empty space. Design solves problems, creates clarity, and adds meaning to a function. This is the reason why your brand can look good and still feel empty. If your pieces aren't solving a real problem style-wise, fit-wise, or even culturally, they're just decorations. Takizawa wasn't designing for attention, he was designing for impact. The relationships he built at Major Force became his network for life. Fellow creatives who shared his obsession with quality over quick success. Most importantly, people who understood that building something authentic took time and refused shortcuts. This community would later form the foundation of Tokyo's streetwear revolution, with each member supporting and challenging the others. By the early 1990s, something electric was happening across Japan. Western streetwear had flowed in through travelers and military bases. Vintage Levi's and bike gear commanded serious money. Japanese youth raised on American culture through movies and music were developing their own interpretation of imported styles. Takizawa sensed an opportunity not just to import but to innovate, and Neighborhood was born. This wasn't just a name, it was a blueprint. By the early 90s, Harajuku had become the perfect playground for broke creatives. That physical environment played a massive role. Double Tap set up shop in a small, tucked away space around the corner. After you're done with this video, you can go watch that one as well. Jun Takahashi and Nigo launched Nowhere, the first store that truly gave Japanese streetwear its own platform, with everyone operating just steps away from each other. Ideals move fast. Shoppers turn into regulars who bounce between stores, trading thoughts, tastes, and influences. The whole scene grew stronger with every interaction. That's why Neighborhood wasn't just a name, it was a real environment first. Some people may try to sell a lifestyle, but they're not actually living in the world they're selling. If you want your brand to mean something, start by asking, what kind of environment are we building both online and offline, where people can show up, tap in, and grow with us? Shift the mindset of not just selling clothes, but building scenes as well. Alright y'all, this is Lee from North Studios. Till next time, I'm out of here. Peace.